Hey everyone, this is Heidi St. John. Thanks for tuning in today. You guys have found me back here at my little corner of the internet. This is the Off the Bench podcast. Today, I'm pleased to have my friend Jeremy Baker back in the studio. This is part 2 of an interview that I'm doing with him. We're going to tackle the topic of climate change and green energy today. Stick around. I think you're going to be encouraged. Well, welcome to the show. I'm glad you guys are joining me here at Off the Bench. Thank you guys for leaving reviews for the show wherever those can be left. I hope also that you are sending your questions in to me at Mailbox Monday. And if you have a question for the show, you can send it to me, HeidiSt.John.com/Mailbox Monday. You guys know me. I like to talk about everything, and we're going to jump into something I don't normally address here at the show. Jeremy Baker is back with me. As I said before, he is running to represent us in the 49th District here in the State House in Washington State. But as you guys have heard me say many, many times, a huge reason why I do this podcast and have for a long time is because I want you to be inspired to get off the bench and onto the battlefield. You get one shot at the life that God has given you. And like Jeremy, I hope you guys will take advantage of it. Speaking of that, Jeremy, welcome back.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to continue the conversation.
So let's just jump right into the deep end. Let's talk about climate change. So right before we started recording, I stopped myself because this is so much of a great conversation. I didn't want to ruin it in the pre-show. But I don't know if you saw climate change activists now. They're going around like they have for a long time, but they're ruining incredible pieces of art at places like the Smithsonian and in Washington, D.C., and we're watching, we will not be silenced, and they're throwing soup on Picasso paintings and all kinds of crazy things. And, we've seen this kind of tactic before, right? They're just trying to get attention. Mm-hmm. But while they're trying to get attention, the people who are actually putting these practices into place, the AOCs and the Monica Stoneyers and all the people that are in our government right now, Joe Biden, chief among them, right, shuts down the Keystone Pipeline, and our country is literally suffocating in the name of climate change.
Yeah.
And as a legislator, you'd actually have a voice and a vote. So talk to me about green energy, which is killing Washington State right now. These green energy initiatives, Jay Inslee, probably one of the worst governors we've ever had.
Yeah, he just actually made the list on the Cato Institute. I think he's literally the worst governor, 50th on the list of 50.
Wow, that's amazing.
For fiscally responsibility. Yeah. No, he's destroying
hanging on like crazy to his emergency powers. I heard that he's going to give him up on
October 31st.
31st.
Yeah, just before the election.
Yeah. Because magically he doesn't need them anymore.
Yes.
On the 31st of October. This guy's a creep. Yeah. He's a creep. He's injuring people here in Washington State.
No, it's been, I mean, yes, the reason I got involved was because of the draconian lockdowns and the mandates that they're, I mean, these poor people that, with the vax mandates, yesterday when we were talking a little bit about, the 4%, where the children were no longer in public education, Ms. Stonier was making this issue of like, we're having a real hard time with the teachers. We're understaffed. And it's like you create a problem and then you complain about the problem. So like there are a lot of teachers out there that are, really great and they really want what's best for our kids, but they're just being suppressed in this system and they're leaving in droves. So now they don't have enough, they don't have enough teachers and now they don't have enough students. But to your point about, climate change, we like the Democrats here in Washington. They really like to lead the way. They say they really want to
leading the way to taking the country right off a cliff.
Our virtue signaling. So they passed their Climate Commitment Act in 2021, and it's a cap and trade carbon.
Can you explain to listeners what cap and trade is?
So basically, what they like our oil refineries. So in any industry, they produce, emissions, carbon emissions, and that is the, CO2, and that's the greenhouse gases that people are so worried about, and cow farts too.
I was going to say, and that's why they want to get rid of the cows. No more beef for you. Yes. Everything's going to be plant-based. Dude, I went to what's that drive-through Chinese place? Panda. I went to Panda Express the other day, and they have plant-based chicken now.
I don't think
it's not really chicken.
I don't.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm not going
I was like,
to do
no,
it.
I just want my orange chicken.
Yesterday I was telling you I have 4 sons, so I buy whole cows.
Me too.
Because
Me too.
I can't. Well, you can't afford the beef.
Right.
You can't afford the beef. And they asked me, "What's for dinner?" And I
Yeah.
said, "It's beef."
It's beef. That's right.
Yeah.
I know.
But so we've implemented this. Basically, our industry, the industry has to pay for the emissions that they are emitting. So they have a certain allotment, and then if they want more, they have to pay more, and basically just to get this scheme going. It really is just a big, ginormous slush fund, and it doesn't do anything actually to reduce CO2. You know, we've passed law after law after law, and one of said laws is to no more coal-fired power plants in Washington. So they shut those down, right? And I fix coal-fired power plants for a living. Like in Arizona, I have several customers. And we have technology.
There's clean coal.
Yes.
Hello.
And when those things are running, you can't see the smoke.
Right.
I mean, you don't see anything. The scrubbers on these coal-fired power plants are ginormous.
Yeah.
But we shut them down. And then think
it's a virtue signal.
Yes.
We're shutting them down.
The energy has to be utilized. The world needs the energy. And so they just put those coal-fired power plants just go up in India and in China.
Right.
And
And
now, they don't have the
we've
emission controls.
Now we're looking for energy from foreign nations when the United States could absolutely be energy independent. And we should be. I think it's fascinating too, you know, just like Marie Antoinette, you know, let them eat cake. And now you've got your crazy governors, you know, everyone's going to drive an electric car. Where's the electricity coming from, Jeremy?
Isn't that?
Where's it coming from? I just want to know. Like, it's so fascinating to me.
Beauty.
Like, hey, we're going to fix climate change and eliminate fossil fuels by having everybody drive electric cars.
Yeah, well, it's windmills and solar panels.
Which worked so great in Texas. Yes.
And in the Pacific Northwest.
In the Pacific Northwest, which we have this amazing renewable resource here,
right?
Which is water.
The
hydroelectric is just amazing.
Yeah, let's take those out. The Snake River.
And now they're like, hey, let's take the dams out of the Snake River. What? This guy, someone needs to retire this guy.
No,
he needs to go away.
There's a cognitive dissonance there, right? Where everybody is they have a goal at 12. They have a goal that by the 2030 that all vehicle sales will be electric.
Nice.
But yet, you can't have coal-fired power plants.
Right.
We want to take out the dams, and nuclear for some reason isn't okay.
Right.
And so where are all these people?
They want us dependent. Well, I do declare.
Your listeners in California.
No more meat.
The listeners in California probably understand exactly what they're going through because this summer they had
rolling blackouts.
that heat advisory, right? And so they literally said, okay, everybody that's bought those electric cars that we've mandated,
you can't plug them in.
You can't plug them in.
Yeah.
And actually, I would like you to go home after work and sit in the dark and turn off your air conditioner. And you can't eat anything because you can't run your appliances because we don't have any power.
Yeah. Whoopsie.
Right. Let's think about all the things. It's, that's the beauty of the Democrat Party. They can only think of what's right in front of them.
Yeah.
There's the second and third order effects. Like if I do this, we won't have as many cars on the street, but then all these other things that they don't even think about.
No.
And
where is the electricity coming from? Is it falling out of the sky? Mm-hmm. No, we have to generate electricity. Well, how do we generate electricity?
Yeah.
It's to me, it's we're stuck in this cycle of abusive leaders who have this pie in the sky idea that somehow they're going to clean up emissions. And actually, nobody's looking at China. Who does all these things, like the Paris Climate Accord and all these things? The United States does it. We do it.
We shoot ourselves.
We do the thing. We get into these treaties and we do it. Is China doing it?
And I really think it has to do with that corporate government interface, right?
In the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab saying you're going to own nothing and be happy about it. Right.
But this idea of, we're saving the planet by shutting down our power and shipping it overseas is really naive. And I think we would actually be much better off for the American people as well, as if we embraced coal-fired power plants here.
Yeah.
We embraced nuclear power. If we can get our energy levels costs down.
Yeah.
Oh man, then we can have that vibrant industry.
And we actually could do that if we had better leaders.
Yes, if we so desired, we can have all our manufacturing back. During World War II, we had aluminum smelters all over, up
Yeah.
and down the river.
Yep.
And the last one shut down, was a customer of mine in Talco in Ferndale, Washington. It shut down during COVID because, one, the demand was not there, but also the energy prices are too high.
Yeah.
And so that they just systematically take the industry away. And that, those are good paying jobs. And we could actually save the planet by creating those products here in the United States.
You know what they
instead
call
of
that where I come from, Jeremy?
What's that?
Common sense.
Yeah, I know.
Common sense. And we're really lacking. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. So I'm reading your website, Jeremy, and well done, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
And you're talking about your Democrat opponent, and you said that she consistently votes to restrict the use of fossil fuels, which drives up the cost of everything in our economy. This is this is basic economics. It's just basic. The Democrats' so-called clean energy plan passed in 2019 effectively eliminates natural gas from retail sales by 2045. So they're going after natural gas.
Yes, to heat your home.
Yeah, they're going after fireplaces.
Yes.
Because, we can't have a fireplace. They don't want you to be warm in the wintertime, apparently. They said forcing us to use less effective and more expensive types of energy to heat our homes. The zealous push to fundamentally transform our state's use of fossil fuels exports our industry to faraway countries with far less regulations on pollution, which is so ironic.
I know.
You're going to damage what was the greatest country on the face of the earth, but our nation is a nation in decline right now. And it's largely in decline because of the woke ideologues that have come out of our woke universities and gotten into positions of authority.
Weren't they smart when they took over the schools?
Very smart.
Yeah. They've been working on this for a long, long time.
Yes. Yep.
And now that we're all awake, I think a great percentage of us are. We see the issue, and that's why I think more and more people are leaving the public education system. More and more people are focused on alternatives.
Yeah. Well, I am.
Yes. Yeah. And I commend you for it. It really needs to happen. Like I said yesterday, we really need to get parents involved.
Boy.
And just get actively engaged.
This is another platform. Part of your platform that you're running on is parental rights. And a lot of people know that I sit on the board of the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, which is the largest homeschool membership organization in the world. And they have an arm called parentalrights.org. And so we've been at the front of this fight for a long time. But what you said yesterday is absolutely true. Most parents are just now starting to wake up to something that's been coming for a very long time, this assault against parental rights. Hillary Clinton with the United States Convention on the Rights of a Child years ago, we were warning about that because if we entered into a treaty with the United Nations like Hillary Clinton wanted us to do with regard to parental rights, the United States honors treaties above its own constitution. And we're literally stripping ourselves of the ability to parent our own children as we see fit. We see this now with the vaccine industry, right? And doctors being less and less willing to listen to the basic desires of parents to raise their children as they see fit. That is their God-given right and responsibility. What is your position, and how can we, as citizens, speak to our legislators so that the tide begins to shift again back to a place of parental responsibility, which really should be paramount in the life of a child?
Well, as a state legislator, that would be my primary role, is to support the engagement and of the parent and the family in making sure that they have that foundation that they need. I really think our society has really kind of they've made it hard on the family. I mean, the people are struggling and they don't really have the bandwidth to be engaged with their children. And they're just they're living day to day. I mean, 60% of the American people are on living paycheck to paycheck, and so how can they be expected to have the energy to focus on their children? So as a state legislator, that would be my primary goal, is how do we support the family? And I think you do that with like school choices, making sure that the money follows the kid, make sure that we have a vibrant economy. When we were talking about the Green New Deals and stuff like that, I would push really hard to get the energy costs lower here in the Pacific Northwest. So
do you think there's ever a chance we can bring back the coal? coal industry here in the Northwest.
Well, absolutely. If we get enough
New leaders.
if we get new leaders, yeah, and it's perfectly viable. I mean, I think it's a very cheap and inexpensive way, and you can do it cleanly. I mean, we could start reducing China's dependency on coal, and we could bring it here, and the world would be better off.
Yeah.
So that I would do. It's it's multifaceted. It's like we were talking about. You just can't look at the one thing. You have and fix that one thing and not expect. You have to look at it as a whole and say, okay, I need to have a strong economy, a strong family, which is families are the foundation of a society. If we want a strong society, we need strong families. And how do we do that? Well, we have to have safe streets. So we have to get crime under control.
Well, and I'm going to interrupt you because a lot of the reasons why we're struggling so much with crime in the Vancouver area now in Clark County are because of decisions that legislators have made, right?
I know, we could talk for hours.
This is coming from the state legislature. Hello.
You're
hanging out with my friend Jim Walsh, right?
Yeah. Senate Bill 5476, it was the state versus the Blake decision where it made drug offenses unprosecutable here in Washington.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
So now all these drug addicts are wandering the streets. I mean, my gas tank got drilled out a month ago.
What?
Because they needed the gas.
Get out of town.
So they could sell it to buy their drugs. It cost $1,500 to put a new gas tank in that truck. But so we create this environment where it looks like a zombie apocalypse to be out. I mean, it's really quite frightening.
It is.
But we create this environment where the streets aren't safe. Yeah. You're not doing these people any favors.
Because we've sacrificed truth on the altar of a misguided mercy.
Yeah, it's not compassionate to let these people
die in their own squalor, infect other people.
Look, you spoke of Jim Walsh just a second ago. He reposted a tweet or whatever. Some poor drug addicted man had dumped out a sharps bin and was picking through there and just shooting up whatever he could find.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it's at the end stages of his life, just completely.
It's interesting. I'm reading a story, a biography actually, with the two children that we still have left at home called The Cross and the Switchblade. It's the story of David Wilkerson.
Okay.
And he, in the late 1950s, God called him to inner city New York. So he went to Brooklyn. And it's almost like he's describing Portland or Seattle, talking about the drug addict. And the marijuana was the gateway drug, right? Which is why I was so up against, why are we legalizing things that are really going to bring people to ruin? Yeah. And he was talking about worse than the prostitution, worse than the murder rates, which were extraordinarily high in this particular part of Brooklyn, was the fact that there were these young people who were so addicted to drugs. He said that the drug addiction was the worst thing he'd ever seen.
Yeah.
These young people who are throwing their lives away, hospitals which are overrun, they can't take them, and the police turning a blind eye to it. And what did you get? You got the slums of New York. Yeah. You got the slums of Brooklyn.
We have it here.
And now we've got it here.
Up and down the West Coast.
And it doesn't have to be that way.
No.
It doesn't have to be that way.
No,
we've got a crisis in leadership. And I keep telling people this should be the message on the lips of every Republican. We have a crisis in leadership. We will never be able to change things unless we start to get people of common sense and morality and character into positions of authority. It absolutely matters.
Yeah, no, that you're absolutely right. The focusing on what really matters it seems simple, but for some reason it's not. Like, we had an interview with the local paper, Columbian here, and in the interview, the article says, well, Jeremy seems to be focused on public safety, crime, inflation, and a lack of accountability. And his opponent, Monica Stonier, really wants to make sure that the gig employees, that the Uber drivers has their health care, and that we get the public transportation for these children in pre-K. It's like there's a
tone deaf.
Yeah, there's a complete disconnect on what's really important to the people in this community. And if we need leaders that actually want what's best for the people that they're being hired to lead.
Mhm.
I want to like the citizen servant, the public servant. I really want to be the representative, and
Mhm.
I want to make sure that I pass legislation that makes their life
Right,
easier,
right. Well,
not
that's the
harder.
job. It's the voice of you're supposed to be a voice of, of the
Yeah.
people because we have a government of the people, by the people, and for the
And the
people.
and the reason people don't do this is because it's not convenient.
Mm.
Like my life is much less better. I mean, it's like this
Oh,
is.
you're talking to a girl who
I know you
understands.
like my life was way simpler before I started this, but there's
Yeah.
nothing more important than standing up and doing what's right for this country. And our response to COVID was one of the most self-serving
Oh,
response I've ever seen in my life.
yeah.
And we really need, like, you think about like those people, the veterans in World War II, like the sacrifice that we had. People used to sacrifice themselves for the next generation, and we're doing the exact opposite. And
Yeah.
that is a sign of like you said,
It's a nation in decline.
nation in decline.
Yeah.
And so we need to lead by example. That's why I'm here and sitting in front of you, because I'm trying to lead by example and saying, hey, no, we need people to stand up and do what's best for the next generation, and then maybe I could influence that next generation to do that for their next generation, and we can start going back up the hill,
Mm.
instead of going down.
Well, and the truth is that nothing that's worth doing in this life is easy.
No.
You want a good marriage? That's going to take work.
Yeah.
You want to be a parent? That's going to take work. You want to homeschool your kids? That's going to take work. But these are worthwhile and worthy pursuits.
Yeah.
We want a good government. It's hard. It's an uphill fight
Mhm.
right now. We're fighting against a lot of things, and I'm just so pleased that you decided to put your life on hold, put your family out there, risk your reputation,
Yeah.
and all the stuff that comes along with politics because it's worth it.
Yeah, I had other plans, but this is way more important.
Yeah.
This is way more
Well,
important.
we really are a nation at war with itself right now. This is a wartime appointment, and it's going to require people of courage and moral fortitude. I hope that when people listen to this, they start looking very carefully. You guys, now's the time. Get out your voter pamphlet. Look and see who's
Mhm.
running wherever you live, and you've got to do more
Yeah.
than just look at a sign on the street. You've got to discover who these people are and what are the positions that they're pushing.
We need to talk with our neighbors.
Yes.
We need
there's
everybody.
there's a novel idea.
Yeah, everybody we need to build community again, and we
Mhm.
need to have open dialogue. And
Mhm.
because people on the left and the right, they all want the same thing. They want
Mhm.
a prosperous life for their family and their children to succeed.
Unless they're so afraid of the Rona
Mhm.
and so afraid of the climate
Yeah.
that they decide it's worth
fear-mongering.
burning the country
The
to
fear
the ground.
mongering is
Fear mongering. It's
yeah.
terrible. Well, we know this because God teaches us in His Word that fear is a spirit,
Mhm.
and it doesn't come from God. So if it doesn't come from God, where does it come from? Right? This is an evil that has been, the spirit of fear that has settled over this country like a cold, wet blanket. We're making decisions based on fear. We're listening to politicians that are making their decisions that are based on fear. We've got to stop doing that and move from a place of fear back again into a position of faith. And I'm
Yeah.
excited that you're running.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just to that point, I think if God is talking to all of us, and if we just take the time to listen, you can hear it.
Mm.
And I get encouraged. This journey that I running for office has brought me so much closer to God.
Yep.
Because it's such a challenge. It is a spiritual battle, and when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I will get phone calls and text messages
Mhm.
saying, "Hey, I'm praying for you.
Mhm.
Just I have you in my mind, and I
Yeah.
wanted to let you know that we're praying for you, whatever." And so, like, God is bringing those people into my life just at that moment when I need Him the most, and He's doing it for everybody as well if you just listen.
Mm.
And I think it's really important that we take the time to do that and reflect, and then you can put things into perspective. That there, it's not about getting a fancy house or a fancy car. It's about the lives that you change
Mm.
in this life,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and the legacy you leave.
Yeah. And leaving the world a better place
That's right.
than when you found it. And that includes strengthening the family. Jeremy Baker, it's just been a delight to have you here. Where can people find you online?
Oh, thank you. Vote JeremyBaker49.com, and Yeah, and then I have a Facebook page and a Twitter account and all this stuff that is brand new to me. I never was on it, but it's a good way of getting the message out and letting
Well, and I
people know
know
who I am.
that you really appreciate the prayers of everyone who's listening to you, and also you need money. It costs money to run. Those yard signs are not free. They don't grow on trees.
No, it
And
is a challenge.
yep.
And I don't get any special interest money. For some reason, the lobbyists don't want to get behind me because of Ms. Stonier's influence. And to be honest, I don't really want their money.
No, because you're not going to be, you're beholden to
That's right.
the voter, not
That's right.
to special interests.
That's where my support is.
That is exactly right.
I will
And
always represent them.
I'm so excited because I actually think you got a good shot at this
Thank
thing.
you. Me too.
So we're going to continue praying for you. I hope that people listening will support your run financially and certainly in prayer. And then
Thank you, Heidi.
When this is all over, come back, win or lose. You got to come back.
Yeah.
And because I want people to hear what it means to run and actually start to take the country back again, back to common sense, back to a position where our families are once again honored and respected, back where we can actually make our own healthcare decisions and our own decisions for the education of our children, that they would once again be respected. And that won't happen unless we have a change in leadership. So I'm praying that you get into the state legislature, and you've sure got my support. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad you're here. If you guys want more information on Jeremy Baker's run, you can go to Vote Jeremy Baker and the number 49.com. Again, I'm going to encourage you, continue to pray for people that are running right now. These elections are coming up in just a few short weeks. That's just 21 days or so to really make their case and make an impact and hopefully change the trajectory of some of these states that really are suffering under these woke ideologues that don't care anything about our families and our future as a country unless it relates to some sort of an agenda that makes no sense. So you guys can join me in coming alongside Jeremy and supporting his run, and I hope I will see you back here again tomorrow at the intersection of faith and culture. For more encouragement, visit me online at momstronginternational.com.